Hi, I'm Joel with Alamode, and thanks for taking time out of your schedule today to watch our little video. I'm hoping you'll get two things out of this particular video. First of all, hopefully you'll be able to see some things that will give you an idea, at least, of whether or not Total might be a good fit for you in your office and your workflow. And secondly, I hope you'll see a few things that are unique to Total that you'll want to try out in your demo, some things that just simply aren't available inside of ACI. So as you go, feel free to take notes and then try those out in your demo. This particular video is taken as snippets from a live recorded webinar that I've taught recently. And if you do decide to get a demo and go with Total, then try out at videos.alamode.com, try out some of our other product training videos that we have. So thanks for your time again, and enjoy.
Alright, so I've got my example from Total open here, this report. This is the one I'll be using for today's class, and it's also included with every version of Total, so you can open this report and follow along on your copy of Total if you'd like. Now, let's talk for just a few minutes about some form filling things. One of the first things that ACI or former ACI users tell me that they notice when they start using Total is how we handle the forms differently than ACI does. The way that ACI is more of a vertical type of hierarchy with pop-up windows and so forth, whereas Total is more of a horizontal type layout. And so to access certain things, there are fewer pop-up windows to do so. An example that I like to use here is the E&O. See, in Total, if you click the E&O PowerView button, and all of these tabs across the top are called PowerViews. If I click the E&O PowerView, it runs my E&O. It actually takes my screen from the Forms screen and moves it over to the E&O view. And I can use the E&O viewer and fix my changes, make my changes here and on the form down below in this split screen here. And then if I need to go back to the Forms, I simply click on the Forms button at the top. So the Forms PowerView button, the little tab there at the top, always takes me back to the Forms. If I'm working in my Addenda full screen, I want to go back to the Forms, I simply click back on the Forms. And so that's one of the things that ACI users tell me that is a pretty significant difference for them, is the way we handle the forms. Also, you will notice that all of the forms inside of Total are in a single scroll view, top to bottom, all the way down. Everything, including the sketch and the maps and so forth, it's all contained here inside of this one PowerView, top to bottom, in order, by the way, that they'll print. On the left-hand side, you see the report contents, and you can simply rearrange your forms by clicking and dragging them into the order that you want over here on the side. Notice that to the left of the Forms PowerView over here, there is a 2-scale representation of each of these pages, and so you can just scroll up and down and find the one that you're looking for. And when you let up off of the mouse, it jumps you straight to that page. You can, of course, also just simply click on the report contents over here on the left-hand side to jump straight to that particular place. Total actually has two distinct and different ways to use common responses. The most obvious one, the one that is always on as you go, is called Recent Responses. And that's the little drop down next to each field. It basically stores the last 10 things that you typed into this particular field. It's a rolling 10, which means that when you type the 11th thing, then obviously the first one drops off the end of the list. We do recommend quick lists, which is the other type of common response over here on the left-hand side. Quick lists are intentionally saved. They are not automatically saved. We make the assumption that you don't want to save everything you've ever typed into every field. And so if you run into a situation where you fill out the word concrete here in foundation walls and you say to yourself, hey, I want to save this again for later use, you do Alt-0 or double-click on New, and it saves it as a quick list entry. Quick lists, in addition to not being limited to 10 per field, they're not even limited to that particular field. So let's say that I know that these 7 fields are going to be the same for 95% of the properties for a particular tract home subdivision. I can actually save them as a single quick list entry like this. Come back and use that over here on the side. Just double click on number 6 and watch what happens. It fills in all 7 of those fields all at once. And you can do this with quick lists all across the form. So if you know the Windows keyboard shortcut for holding down the control key, you can actually just hold down the control key and click into whichever fields that you want to save, and just save a whole bunch of them all at once across the form. And when you're ready, just double click on New over here to create that quick list. As far as UAD goes, Total does handle UAD fields very differently than the way ACI does. An example of this are the combo fields, such as the stuff from the contract section. I click into a combo field here, and you'll notice what pops up is a DFE, what we call a dynamic field expansion. You'll notice this is not an actual pop-up window. There's no OK or save or cancel button, and you can interact directly with the DFE. Then Total takes the information you put in the DFE and uses the right syntax and abbreviations and so forth, and creates the actual information that's going to go onto the form for you. Now, this is the way Total acts by default, but Total actually has what we call UAD freeform mode. I'm going to turn this on here. I'm going to turn on freeform UAD mode, and let's go down now to, say, the view field. Now, the view field, if I know UAD well enough, and I know many of you do, I can just simply type what I want to. N semicolon water. Now, obviously, water is not a UAD proper response, right? But when I leave the field, freeform mode will fix that for me and include the trailing semicolon as well. So just keep that in mind. UAD freeform mode has what we call freeform shorthand, and the shorthand allows you to save time across the board in a lot of these combo fields. We've got an entire document dedicated to the shorthand for UAD freeform mode that you can print out and use as you get used to Total and the UAD freeform mode. If you ever have a PDF that you need to include as an exhibit in your report, like a contract or a deed or some sort of plat map, something like that, and it's a PDF that you have on your computer, there's no need to print it and then scan it back in. Inside of Total, you can actually have Total convert an existing PDF to an actual image page in the report using the insert function here. Maps inside of Total are done right in line with the form, and so if you want a location map, you simply add the location map page, the blank one, to your report, click where the map is supposed to go, and then choose that option here for location map. Now, as far as licensing goes, we do license our maps differently than ACI does, with some more flexibility. We license based on the appraisers. So if you have, a machine at the house and a laptop, or a machine at the office, then you don't have to pay extra for a license. As long as you are the one that's using it on those two machines, then you don't have to pay us for an extra license. We don't license by the machine. Also, if you have Total Server and you've got Total installed on a server, then you're only paying once for the location map license. So even if you have 16 people that are using Total directly on the Total Server account, you're only paying once for the account. You can have 16 different workstations all using that map license for the server account. It's just a little bit different about how we do our licensing for maps, and some of you will find that quite a bit helpful. Now, in Total, you enter the comp side-by-side view by clicking the side-by-side PowerView button at the top. And one of the first things you'll notice is this is an actual comparables side-by-side view, not a page side-by-side view. So even if you have, 15 or 25 or however many comparables, you will be able to see and use them all from this one view here. You just simply use the slider at the bottom to slide over and see all of them. I've only got 6 here at the moment. But you use the slider to go all the way across. To rearrange your comparables, while there are several different ways to do it, my favorite is to just simply drag a comparable into the proper slot. And yes, it does move the photo on the photo page when you do that. Now, the side-by-side view here is UAD aware. And while you do have the ability, to simply click into a combo field, for instance, and type what you'd like, just like we talked about with the UAD freeform mode earlier, you can turn on the expanded detailed view here. What this does is it actually expands the grid temporarily so that you can make line item adjustments For all the little internal variables, all the little questions that Fannie Mae has asked, you can make internal line item adjustments for each one of them. An example here would be, for comparable one anyway, you can make a full bath adjustment and a half bath adjustment on separate lines, just as if Fannie Mae had actually asked those questions on separate lines. It does do the arithmetic, and this is what will go on the form here, the plus 2,500. And these are form fields, which means that they are remembered so that if you open this report 4 years from now to, see what it was that you actually put in here, you're able to see it. You don't have to break out a calculator. It's all retained as part of this report. This is called the detail view, and it's enabled here at the top. Now, I always like to pair this with Smart Adjust. Smart Adjust adds another column. There's a little video here. You can watch that video the first time you use it. I'm going to go ahead and close that for now. Smart Adjust allows you to make automatic adjustments across all comparables for this particular report. You can save them as sets here, so if you set up multiple automatic adjustments for this and you want to reuse it for the same neighborhood or type of property or market area, again later you can do so, and that's right here with the Save button. But an example that's useful here is obviously GLA, your square footage. We do have a square footage adjuster, but I like this one because it's right in line with the forms. So this is the one I always like to teach. So let's say I want it to be $125 a square foot for an adjustment. I put 125 in here, and it makes my adjustment across all of my comparables, regardless of what page they're on. All of my sales comps here. And if I change it here, it'll just make the adjustment automatically. If I add comparables later on, it will make the adjustment automatically for them as well as soon as I put in the square footage for those comparables. I don't have to remember to come back here and run this again. You can also set thresholds or limiters, in essence saying, look, only make an adjustment if it makes a certain or matches a certain level of something. So units in this case is gross living area. So I would say if I were to put 100, that would be only make an adjustment if if the difference between the subject and the comparable is greater than 100 square feet or units. Or I could put a dollar figure in here, say 10,000, or a percentage, say 2% difference here between the sale and the subject. And you'll notice as soon as I put in 2%, because comp 1 and comp 3, because they're less than 2% difference of the subject, the adjustment actually goes away here for both of them. You'll notice at the top that we do have an MLS text file importer. I've got some great videos about how this works. I'm not going to go through it now all the way. Just understand that it is free. You don't have to pay extra for it. But the idea is that you go to your MLS, you do your search like normal, and you download, the data for particular comparables. Choose my import file that I just downloaded from my MLS. I'll click Next, Next, Finish. And Total creates new comparables for me here, right from my MLS data. And notice that, yes, it does make the square footage adjustment for me as soon as I added the seventh comparable here. We also have on the side-by-side view the ability to access your comparables database. Also not going to go too deeply into this. The comps database, though, is UAD aware. That means that you can search by the UAD fields. So any of these fields that you see over here in the detailed view, this expanded view, you can do searches for and ranges within. Also, you will like, I think, the way that our comps database saves the data that you've used previously. We actually base it off of what we call hits. And so if you have used a property multiple times in multiple reports, then you will be able to see what it was you used in each of those instances. So maybe it was a listing and then it was a sale. Well, you'll be able to see both of those instances on whatever form type it was that you used that particular property. It's not some conglomeration, some meta comparable, and it's not just limited to the last time that you used that particular property. You are actually presented with basically your entire history of usage of that particular property. And that's in our comps database, which is located right here. All right, let's take a look at some of the rest of these Power Views. The next one up is the Photos Power View. The Photos Power View contains an images database, the QuickPix database that's right here. Now, we do have a QuickPix importer located right here to import your photos off your camera or your card reader into the database, just like you're used to. The main distinction here between what Total does and the way ACI behaves, in my opinion, is that the search option here replaces the need, really, for canisters. A lot of what most ACI users tell me that they use canisters for is to be able to go back and look up the photos they took of a particular property. Well, that's the entire purpose of the photos database inside of Total. And so once you've used a photo in a report or tagged it with a particular address, even if you didn't use it, it will be available to you just by typing in even a partial address here in the search field. One of the other things that you'll like is the image optimizer, which is available inside of Total. Each photo is optimized automatically as you place it on the page in the report. So we do optimize automatically. But you can also manually optimize any photo basically just by clicking on it inside of Total, anywhere basically. And when you do so, you open the image optimizer, and you can see all the photos in the report here, just one right after the other, and click on any of them to optimize it. You can rotate. There's a crop tool, the ability to place a balloon. So I needed to point out something here on the photo where there's settlement or prior infestation treatment noted or something like that. You can draw lines on a photo. You can blur something out. We have a set of icons if you need them. And there's also a highlight utility. So one of the things that I see a lot of appraisers use the highlight utility for is some sort of plat map that they've scanned into the report, and they want to highlight or note either the market area or the neighborhood or even just that one particular lot. You can just draw a box around what you want to highlight. And you open the image optimizer, again, just by double-clicking on any photo in the report. The next Power View is the Sketch Power View. In the Sketch Power View, you have your area calculations on the left-hand side. You have a property map here over on the right. This is a satellite view overhead of the property for reference. And if you have any photos in the report of this particular subject property, if you already added them, then you'll have access to them over here on the side. Again, also for reference. Now, Total does come with Total Sketch for free here in the Sketch Power View. You do not have to pay extra for it. Total Sketch does come free. The license for it runs with the license for Total as well. Just like we talked about with the location maps a little bit ago, the licensing follows the license for Total. So if you have, a machine at the house, a machine at the office, and a laptop, as long as you're the one using it, then you can use Total Sketch on any of those machines. The license follows the user rather than the actual machine, so you don't have to pay extra for it. The Addenda PowerView. Now, you can look at your addenda in a couple of different ways. The one that's going to be the most obvious is, let me go back to the Forms PowerView here and show you what happens when you click on the Addenda button in the Forms PowerView toolbar. You now have a split screen. This is the one that you're probably more familiar with than anything, but you can look at the addendum in a full screen here just by clicking the Addenda PowerView. Notice you can also undock the addenda into its own window, and that way you can move it off onto a second monitor if you want to. One thing you'll really like, notice the rich text editing tools that are available to you. Our Addenda Writer inside of Total does make use of rich text controls, full rich text controls, just like you're used to in Word or WordPerfect or even WordPad. So if I want to highlight or underline some particular phrase or sentence or even a word to bold or italics or something like that, I can do so. Just select the text just like I would in Word. In addition to your fonts and the bold, italics, and underline, there's paragraph and formatting and all kinds of other stuff over here in addition to bullet points and numbering and so forth. So you've got rich text controls built right into your addendum here. I'm going to go back to the Forms PowerView and open my side-by-side, or my split screen, excuse me, here at the bottom to open the overflow window. Now the overflow window will open up the first time that you type more data than will fit into a multi-line field. But I just personally want to highlight a couple of things here. First of all, you can reduce the size of the font one time before overflowing if you want to. You simply check the box. What this does is it allows you to not have to overflow just for the lack of a word or two. So it reduces the font size by 1 point before overflowing. The second box, the second checkbox here is, if available, overflow to the additional comments field. It essentially tells Total to, for the purposes of your overflow addenda stuff, to treat that giant comment field, that giant comment block on page 3 of the 1004, as if it were really the first page of the supplemental addendum. And then when it runs out of room, and you continue to type and it runs out of room on page 3, then it will overflow onto your supplemental addendum form. And these overflow options, again, will pop up the first time that you type more data than will fit into a multi-line field. Now, the Worksheet PowerView. Now, this is something that you don't really have any analog for inside of ACI. This is an actual spreadsheet utility. And the purpose of this is to be able to link fields from the form into the spreadsheet and then back out again. So you can do data transformations. You can run your own custom calculations. What you're looking at here is our MC form worksheet. It's entirely free. You do have to download it, but it is free. We've already built it for you, and it's designed such that when you download your data from your MLS, you open that data inside of Excel and then copy it and paste it here into basically the cell A24, and it will fill out the grid portion of your MC form for you. And we've done a lot of the calculations for you already, and this is already set up. Just works right out of the box for many MLSs. Again, completely free, and it's built. It's part of the worksheet here. The E&O PowerView works exactly the way that you expect it to. You have a warning up at the top, you double-click it, and it jumps to that particular place down in the form below where you can make your changes. And yes, again, you can open the E&O into its own window and view it in full screen on both monitors and multiple monitor setups. The Workfile PowerView. You don't really have an analog for this inside of ACI either. The Workfile PowerView is where Total users save a lot of time, hassle, and money by taking the things that they normally would put into their manila folder and sock away in a drawer for 5 or 7 years and actually have those electronic as part of the report itself. So extra maps, comparables that I removed out of the report that I don't want to have to retype again, I have access to them in here. Data that I took out in the field, images and so forth, screen grabs. Emails can be dragged and dropped. If you can get it electronic, you can literally drag it and drop it into this Files and Work file over here on the side. It's all contained as part of the report itself, the actual report file. And so when you back up this report file, all of this data here in the Workfile PowerView is backed up along with it and accessible at a moment's notice. Even in the Appraisal Desktop, which I'll show in a few minutes here, you can access this information even with the report closed. It is all built into the report. It's different for many of you simply because you don't really have anything like this inside of ACI, but Total users have been using this for well over a decade at this point, the Workfile PowerView, in order to save money and time and make their lives a lot easier and reduce the amount of paper and overhead. The Notes PowerView has a couple of things. First of all, there's a to-do list over here on the left-hand side. This is the to-do list, by the way, from the demo report. So you can open this up and use this and save it if you find it helpful to you, or you can create your own to-do list. And as you do the certain things as part of your report process, you simply check the box, and it makes that notation here right in the report. On the right-hand side, you have a place for your own notes. If you've synced anything over from Total for mobile, that will be available to you here, the mobile notes. The field data PDF is what comes over automatically from Total for mobile. This is the raw data that I collect in the field. This is the electronic equivalent, by the way, of your clipboard notes. This is a good point, I guess, to mention that Total for Mobile is completely free, both to download and try out, as well as to synchronize. In addition, of course, being written by us. It's a great utility, and we've got videos about how that works as well. Lots of good training on that. But in case you didn't know, Total for Mobile is completely free. Down below are quick notes. Now, quick notes, I think, are best shown on the form because this is probably where many of you will use them. Let me turn off my addendum here. So if I want to make a note to myself or somebody else in my office, maybe a trainee or something, I can click the little red icon there at the top and drop in a red little quick note. And then I can type my note into this field here, and they'll be able to see it later on. This information is just part of your work file. It is not transmitted to the client. It is not part of the final report. You can't accidentally send a copy of it. This is for your benefit and for your own personal internal use. These are called quick notes, and they're essentially electronic sticky notes. They are the paperless office equivalent of the Post-it notes that many of you use in your day-to-day workflow. As far as signing your reports, we do have two processes. Both of them are completely free. There's the standard non-secure with my graphical signature, and keep in mind to set this up, we don't actually charge for it at all. You just sign a piece of paper and scan it in. Some appraisers sign a piece of paper and take a picture of it with their camera and on their phone, their iPhone or their Android phone or tablet to get it into the software. So it's not very difficult to do, and there certainly isn't a charge for it. There is also SureDocs, which we think you'll want to try out. SureDocs has been inside of Total for over half a decade at this point. It provides security through verification for your reports. Again, it is completely free, and if that's something that you'd like to see, you can choose to sign securely with SureDocs, at which point you'll be prompted to watch a video about how the process of verification actually works. Now, the dashboard inside of Total, accessible with the button in the upper right-hand corner, gives you access not only to all of your a la mode purchases, but also any integrations that you use through the Total store. So if you use Phoenix Mobile instead of Total for Mobile, or if you use Marshall & Swift or IDC or any of the other Total store vendors, your integration will show in here. Now, Total does have the Total Store. Let me pull up our website for it here. The Total Store is an integration platform that anybody with any software that would like to integrate with us can do so and use our technological platform that we call the Total Store. And so we've got lots of options. This gives you as the appraiser more options. An example, even though we have a sketch that comes built directly into Total and it's free, you can choose Apex if you would like to use Apex within Total. You'll need to get Apex, obviously, and buy the program from them, but there is a way through our partnership here in the Total Store to get an integration license to integrate that into Total. The point is that Total Store gives the appraiser more choice. Now, the last piece of Total that I want to talk about here is the Appraisal Desktop. The Appraisal Desktop is like a file lister, but obviously quite a bit more modern. There's a lot of things that you can do in here. You have folders over here on the left. These folders are equivalent, as you might suspect, to folders inside of Windows itself, and you manage all of your files from here. You can search here in this particular field for any piece of information that you have displayed. You can actually change what is displayed. Under the Tools menu, you can edit the column layouts. You can add in things that you would find more helpful. So maybe the total due from the invoice would be helpful to see in this view. You can add that particular column and rearrange them as needed. There's also, down below, the info pane. And so you can see with the report closed certain pieces of information and even make changes to them. So you've got a to-do list. You can see the invoice for a particular report. You can see the order form for it, the work file, the history of the report, and even a preview of the report. And this, of course, you can modify and view basically everything except the preview with the report closed. You don't have to open it in order to, mark a payment on the invoice or view the work file, pull something out of the work file. And so this is the Appraisal Desktop inside of Total.
Hello again, and thanks for watching. Just a handful of things to remember very quickly. First of all, $349 is our permanent pricing. On top of that, we can also buy out your contract. Even if you're not up with ACI, just send us over your invoice and we'll give you credit for the, what's left out of your ACI contract. So some of you will be able to switch for free. On top of that, remember Total Sketch is free. Total for mobile is free, not just to download, but also to do your synchronizations. The location maps are included. And you can visit alamode.com/switch to read more about what's included for $349 and also get a demo as well. Total comes with a fully functional trial. So visit alamode.com/switch today. Thank you very much.